Razer just released two really interesting new products. One of them being the Razer Joro portable wireless gaming keyboard, and the other one being this, the Razer Basilisk Mobile. It's kind of crazy seeing Razer release a Basilisk Mini before a true Viper Mini. It's just wild. And don't let the words mobile or portable deter you, because these are some pretty solid products here. I mean, this is honestly my favorite Basilisk I've ever used, which is crazy because it's smaller and I usually like big mice. Stick through the video and we'll talk about it. So let's go and kick it off with the measurements of the Basilisk Mobile here, and I'll also compare it up to a standard Basilisk. This is the Hyperspeed X, but again, we all know they got that same shape, and we'll compare it up to the Mobile to see the differences there. And I bust out the caliper so we can get those raw, real measurements rather than just back of the box specs. So let's make sure we are at 0 here, and let's kick it off with that length. And I'm gonna go one to the other so we can see measurement to measurement. So we're looking at 107, and I'm going in between the gap right there. To get it on a very tip of the button is kind of tough, and I'm pretty much right around 109. But again, if we're going gap to gap right there, right at that 107, and let's look at that on the, ooh, this is a pretty big gap on the regular Basilisk, so I don't think this is going to be fair. But anyways, going gap to gap, you're seeing 118. Now, if I go to the front of the button here, which is again pretty tough because it's on that slant, you're pretty much upwards of 130. So, and before we go off with any other measurements, just taking a look at that length, and I'm going from the back of the skates right back here. I mean, you can just clear as day see, it is drastically smaller, like for sure in that length. But let's go on and take a look at the width. Make sure we're back to 0 here. And let's get the width. And this is going to come out from the thumb hump right over here. Right to the side, thumb hump, right around 73.5 just about. Over here on the standard, pretty close to the exact same right over there. But we're going to talk more about that thumb hump here in a second. Now let's get the width up here by the buttons right here in the center without trying to press them in. You can see right here, 61.5. Now let's get the new Mobile over here. And again, these are a little bit different, so you're gonna have to stick through this video because there's some stuff we're gonna have to talk about all this. So you're seeing pretty close right there, but again, they're significantly different. Now let's get this hump. And where can I get this the best? I'm gonna go from this side because we got that flare out over there. We're going right from sensor down 39. And then if we get on the standard Basilisk, I'm probably saying that wrong, 42. So you can see you got a little bit more right there. But all in all, looking at mouse to mouse, I mean, you can just clear as day see some differences. I mean, there is no denying it in the shape that even though they're calling this the Mobile, I think it should just be referred to as the Basilisk Mini. Now this test, my ever favorite being the thermal test, will really decipher what I just talked about. I mean, measurements are measurements, but this heat signature will really tell you the difference between the shapes. So getting my heat transferred over onto the Basilisk Mobile, aka Mini here, I'm gonna let it go so you can see where I'm gripping it. You can see my thumb on the side, and then my fingers, ooh, we're getting freezing. You can see my fingers rolling right around here to this side. And everything that you're seeing right here, this is right here where my knuckles kind of roll over there. That is no palm back there for me. You can see my palm is red, and then the mouse is up there. I'll show you with the lights on here in a second. But again, this is pretty much a relaxed fingertip type of mouse for me. I mean, if you have smaller hands, you'll definitely be able to palm it. But again, as far as me, you can see my fingers are just kind of resting right on it there. Now let's bring over the regular Basilisk, and I'll show you how I grip this in my hand. And again, this will differ from hand shape and grip style and whatnot. But again, this is just showing my test and hopefully showing you the differences of these in the hand. And the weird thing, the regular Basilisk feels, again, a little bit thinner. So let's go ahead and let go over here. You can see I'm getting a little bit of palm right back there, right? Hit me right back here in the back corner. Of course, we're getting our thumb over there, and then we're getting this back here on this side. So you can see my hand is definitely wrapping around it a lot more when on the regular or the Basilisk Mini, Mobile, it kind of just rests my fingers on it. When this one, you can kind of get palmish, even though it is a little bit thin, hence the reason this isn't red back here, because your hand's kind of pinching on the side. When the standard Basilisk, again, it's kind of tough to see. If I pull this into the back of my hand here, which I can't because then I'm just engulfing the mouse, it does feel slightly wider on the back bit. So if you got a smaller hand and you want like a nice palm grip type of Basilisk, this might be a win for you. Now with the lights on, I want to talk talk more about the shape of these mice and the differences as far as the feel, because it's not just one's smaller and one's bigger. Again, number one, looking at that back hump right there, you can see the Basilisk Mini is just feels like you got that plumpness up towards the top, just a little bit more than the standard Basilisk, which is something I definitely appreciate. Now, the other biggest thing is the side, the thumb rest over here. You can see on the standard Basilisk, it kind of swoops in and then up a little bit. I don't know how well the camera can see that, but it almost like locks your thumb in there. You know what I mean? You're not getting that over here on the Basilisk Mobile. It just kind of flows through and it just feels a lot better, because if you got a bigger thumb or whatever, it feels free flowing there. When over here, you're almost locked right into that position. Now, the other thing you're gonna get here is with the side buttons. You can see on the Mobile, it's kind of like a wave, right? Like a surfing wave, and then your buttons kind of fling out. Over here on the standard Basilisk, it's opposite, because it waves up over here, and then here it kind of goes up straight, you know, if that makes any sense. But again, as far as one being smaller than the other, they are completely different. Don't just think, oh, hey, it's just a small Basilisk. No, this one feels a little bit wider and a little bit more free-flowing in the hand than, again, a standard Basilisk, which kind of locked you into this position. Moving on from shape, which I'm sure I'll talk a whole lot about later on in the video as well, let's go on and take a look at the weight. And as you see on the bottom, you do have a place for your dongle. The dongle is out of this right now, but anyway, slapping it on the scale, we're coming in at 75.6 grams. And honestly, with it being a little fingertip mouse, that 76 grams, some people might be like, oh, yo, that's too heavy, which is just crazy to even say. But again, for me, with a bigger hand, and I'm kind of, again, relaxed fingertipping this thing here, it's perfectly fine. Now, if you got a smaller hand, maybe you'll notice that weight a little bit more. But for me, it's perfectly fine, and it's balanced really good for, again, a mouse of just a different kind of shape. Now let's go and test the build quality of this mouse, and I bust out the force gauge meter, so I press into it. We can see where the flex is, so I'm not just saying, oh, hey, I'm gripping it light or tight or this, that, or the other. We got, again, a raw test here to see. And I will tell you what, over here on this side, there is a mild amount of flex right around that 14-pound mark right there, which we'll talk about that in a second. But here on the back, I mean, rock solid. Over here by the buttons, you still get that like 14-pound flex, but again, we're talking 14 pounds. And with this a smaller mouse, I don't think any of us are going to be pressing at 14 pounds. I don't think you're going to be pressing any mouse 14 pounds, you know what I mean? And in game, and all of my time using this, I never noticed any flex whatsoever. But again, it's just weird that you do notice it flexing in on the side, when over on like a standard Basilisk, this is the X Hyperspeed, one of their more budget ones, I mean, these things are solid. You don't have a lick of flex on them. So I don't know if that's just them trying to reduce weight, or it's the smaller shell size or whatever. But again, it's still very solid. It was just weird that I do notice a little bit of flex over here, and I can't get any out of, again, a standard Basilisk. Now let's talk about the buttons on this mouse, as it's packing some pretty sweet features here. Number one, these side buttons. You're noticing 3 of them. So you got your basic front, back, and then this third button back here, which out of the box is set to an AI shortcut. We noticed Razer do that on some of their other products. You just implemented that, again, an AI shortcut into a lot of their kind of productivity-based type products. But I don't use AI, so what you can do is actually go into Synapse and customize this back button to something what you want. And I use it as audio mute, which, yes, my big old thumb would accidentally press it sometimes there, but it's nice to have, again, another button that you can kind of shortcut right there. As far as your front buttons up here, they're very stable. You don't have any excess bounce or anything, and they are the optical switches, but they're not ridiculously heavy. I really like them. Now, coming up to the scroll wheel, very nice and recessed, by the way, which is something I love, because you just take your finger and slide it right over. You don't have to lift it up. It's not like a speed bump, so really like that. Nice and tactile as well. Never got any accidental slips. It kind of goes and just stops. Really nice. But you can also press this up there, which is not a DPI button. You can press that and then get a free scrolling wheel. Just a free flowing right there. Like, how cool is that? I think it's packing some really cool features as far as in the buttons in this small little package. Now let's talk about the performance of the Basilisk Mobile and my gameplay and actually use with it, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Joro. But number one on the Basilisk Mobile, as far as battery life, Bluetooth, you can get up to 180 hours, and then running wireless, you can get up to, I believe it's 100 hours. And you do got the RGB on the back, so disable that if you want. As far as polling rate, it's only 1,000 polling rate, and then settings of the mouse are pretty basic minus the buttons. Again, that's the stuff you can kind of tweak in Synapse. But as far as my gameplay with it, and I did also use it for productivity, I used it on my Apple, actually editing videos and stuff, and we're going to talk about all of that right there. But number one, focusing on gameplay, I play a lot of Call of Duty, and again, I had a really good time with this mouse. I was kind of shocked because I was thinking, oh, it's a smaller mouse, I'm not going to like it, right? Focusing mainly on shape other than performance, but I had a good time with it. I really enjoyed gaming with it. I did. And that third button on the back was just fun. Even though I fat fingered it sometime, it was just cool to have that little shortcut right there. Now, as far as performance, the one thing I did notice, again, to go into Synapse, as far as customization, number one, 1,000 polling rate, and I think that's perfectly fine, right? I love how companies aren't shoving that 8,000 polling rate marketing down our throats, as so many people have fallen for it and are willing to spend that extra 50 bucks on it, which we'll get to the price on this, which is really sweet. But again, what it's packing is what you need and it gets it done. Now, one thing I did notice it is lacking is liftoff distance adjustment within the software. And I could notice that because the liftoff distance felt a little bit high. I don't know. But the other thing I'd noticed too is in gameplay, and this only happened maybe around 3 or 4 times, is in Call of Duty, is my weapon would automatically just fling to the top and I'd be staring at the ceiling. And I don't know what that was. I tried different mice, I pulled out other mice, and it never happened before. But then going back to the Basilisk, just randomly, again, I can't even like nail it down, it'd just fling up. So I don't know if that's like an update that has to happen, or maybe Razer release a firmware update or a surface calibration or something. I don't know. But again, I tried it with other mice and didn't get that result. But with the Basilisk Mobile, it was just weird that it flung me up to the ceiling. It only happened again those like 3 to 4 times, but again, it did happen. So other than that, I mean, the core performance, the buttons, the feel, and again, the gameplay was great. It just kind of stuck in the back of my head. Oh boy, I hope I'm not looking at the ceiling when that enemy comes around the corner. Now, I just briefly want to talk about the Joro here, and then we'll get to a conclusion about these new product releases from Razer. And number one, as far as this being a low-profile, slim gaming keyboard, which it looks just like an Apple keyboard, right? That's exactly what you think it is, and it feels just like it, as it has scissor switches, the keycaps are flat, the top of this is aluminum. I mean, it's a solid built thin keyboard for sure, but you get definitely productivity vibes from this rather than gaming vibes. But the cool thing is you can actually go into Synapse and they actually have Snap Tap on it, and that's a feature I need. Even other than like adjustable switches, Snap Tap is something I need. Like, I can notice if I don't have it, so really cool to have that in there. But the coolest thing, again, coming from someone like me that uses Windows and Mac, is being able to use this on both of them. So if I'm on Windows, all of my shortcuts are working for Windows. Then if I go to Mac, all of my shortcuts right up here are working for Mac, my volume and adjustments and stuff like that. This little tiny keyboard is packing so much. The one thing I think here is we got some serious identity crisis going on, or marketing mix-up, you know. I think the Basilisk clear as day should have been a mini, but now people are gonna think it's like just a laptop mouse. I think it should have been classed as the mini, and then the Joro should have been classed as a portable productivity type of keyboard. As yes, you can game with it, but with the flat keycaps and stuff, you're gonna fat finger some other ones and whatnot. So I think they should have been marketed kind of opposite right there. But all in all, I think we got some pretty cool, unique releases here. And even though the releases have been slow this year so far, seeing unique and fresh products coming out makes me excited. Let me know what you all think down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye now.